everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be learning how to form bread dough. Bread dough comes in different shapes and forms. They call it forming in culinary terms. You can make boules, which just means a round shape. You can make baguettes, just like in France, which are just basically long logs. And then you can also buy certain bowls that actually have patterns at the bottom. When you turn it out, it will actually give an impression on the bread. So today I'm going to take a traditional baguette dough and elevate it a little bit to something that's called a pain d'épi, which just basically means bread that looks like a wheat stalk. And you'll see what I mean once we get to the forming stage. But I went ahead and made the baguette dough. As you can see here, I put it in a lightly oiled bowl to keep it from sticking. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cover it in plastic wrap to help with the proofing process. You need to find a warm spot in your kitchen or in your house. I've used, whenever I do bread, sometimes I'll do laundry and I'll put my bread dough on top of the dryer. So basically I'm cleaning, or doing laundry, and then I'm actually making bread so that it's like a twofer. But I learned something really great, actually brilliant online, where a fellow baker actually takes her dough and she puts it in a cold oven with the light on, and it actually mimics a proof box like I would have at a normal kitchen in a restaurant or in a commercial kitchen. So I think that's great. Now I don't have to wait to do laundry to make bread. So great tip for you guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and put plastic wrap on my bread dough. Again, a lightly oiled bowl so that it will not stick. And I'm gonna go ahead and pop it in my oven with the light on. And we're gonna leave that for 1 hour. If it does not proof, because sometimes, temperature, you have no idea what's going on. If it does not double, leave it alone. Don't go by just time, because again, humidity is a factor. If you do it on the dryer, like I do sometimes, sometimes it will not proof. So, or if it's winter, so it's always cold. So wait till it doubles, because that's activating all the yeast and makes it rise, so that you'll have that nice holes and texture within your bread. So wait. Look at it in an hour. If it doesn't double, give it another 15 minutes. But once it's double, we'll bring it out and we'll go ahead and I'll show you how to form next. So I'll see you in an hour. All right, everybody. It's been about an hour, maybe an hour and 10 minutes. It didn't proof right at an hour, so I left it in for about 10 more minutes and actually proofed a little bit more. So as you can see, it is definitely proofier. It did proof. You can even feel it's kind of warm, and that's all the fermentation that's been happening while it's been in the oven. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and take off the plastic wrap, and we're gonna remove it from the bowl. But before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and wash my hands first, because it's important to wash your hands right now, or anytime. And again, you should see some bubbles in the dough. You can also smell the fermentation from the yeast, and so you know that your yeast has been activated. So that's a good sign. So again, it looks beautiful. You can touch it. It's not sticky. We talked about it in my last segment. I love my bench scraper, especially the ones that are kind of flexible, not the stiff kind, because it really helps in terms of getting stuff out of your bowl, especially if you're working with doughs, pastry crusts, etc. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take it out of my bowl and scraping it out. I'm going to put some flour on my board. Let me go ahead and turn the camera down a little bit so you can see what's going on here. Put some flour. And I'm going to, what we call, turn out the dough onto my floured surface. So let's do that. Put that aside. And what I'm going to do is put some more flour down, and I'm just going to go ahead and kind of punch down. This is what we call punching down, releasing the gases, punching out the dough. Oh, and it's beautiful. It's really nice and soft. Put a little more flour so that my hands don't stick. And I'm going to put it in in about a square, if you can see that. It's a square, maybe about 12 inches by maybe 5 inches or so. And I'm going to bring it to the middle. And I'm going to bring it up to the middle. And then I'm going to bring the sides in. Put a little bit more flour, we call it bench flour. I'm going to flip it over. Put a little more flour. And then I'm going to take my plastic wrap and I'm going to go ahead and cover it again. Leaving it on my board. And then I'm just going to let it rest. Let it just relax for about 30 minutes. So we're just going to leave it here and I will see you in 30 minutes. All right, it's been 30 minutes. And as you can see, the dough has risen a little bit. I mean, not too much, but it has risen. So at this stage, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna divide it in thirds. And I'm gonna go ahead and go lengthwise because it just will be so much easier since we have to do this in ropes. So I already prepped a sheet pan and I floured it. It's on a sill pack so that it won't stick. I'm going to go ahead and separate my dough. Oh, it's a little sticky, so I'm going to get some flour. And I'm going to divide it up. You can see it is a little sticky. I'll use my bench scraper to cut. And I'm going to go ahead and individually go ahead and roll this out into ropes about, let's say, maybe 15 inches. And then I'm going to transfer it onto my sheet tray, if you can see that right there. Okay, I'm going to do the same with the other two. And just keep in mind, when you're working with bread dough, it takes patience. There's a lot of steps and you have to let it proof, you have to let it rest, because we have to have the dough to proof and get those air bubbles in, and that's why when you get that perfect piece of bread, it has that crust and then inside is nice and soft and you see all those little pockets of bubbles in there. That's because you've allowed your dough to proof and rise. So that's very important. I know it just seems like, you know, it's a lot of steps, but it's a labor of love. So fresh baked bread, I mean, there's nothing next to it. So if you have the time, especially now, while we're all sheltered in, make bread. And it's also very calming. I love kneading the dough. I like touching the dough. It calms me down. And it's just, there's a satisfaction in making it, trust me. So here you go. If you can see, I made 3 long logs. They almost look like little mini baguettes. And in actuality, this is the stage where I can pull out my baguette pan and let it proof and make baguettes out of this. But like I said, we are going to make pain d'épices, which is the wheat stalk. So again, another step in the process, we're going to have to wait again, let it proof for about 40 minutes, let it rise, and then after that we will form it and then we'll get to it and we'll start baking. So I'll see you in 45 minutes.